Medical marijuana is only getting more and more popular for humans, but what about the ones we love the most, our pets? Well, there's growing research that shows that cannabis could be a potential treatment for animals as well. So dozens of studies point to cannabis and its potential for treating seizures, pain, anxiety, and even fear in animals. And ICANN Vets, which is a company engaging in veterinary cannabis education in Mexico, is pioneering this research. And I think the key word here is research. I'm glad they're doing research. I hope they continue doing research. And if you're considering giving your dog marijuana for their ailment, just be very, very careful and please talk to a vet. Now, Dr. Castillo and his colleagues have actually trained around 1,500 veterinarians in medical cannabis use. And here's how it has been shown to help animals. So Nidia, an elephant in Mexico, has suffered from a chronic foot issue. And as a result, she has lost her appetite. She was rapidly losing weight. And so one of the veterinarians in charge of Nidia's care at the wildlife park in Mexico was desperate. And finally, she just decided to try CBD, which is the non-psychoactive element in marijuana, in cannabis. It's the therapeutic compound found in cannabis. And the first sign that the treatment was in fact effective was when Nidia developed a serious case of the munchies. Within days of starting CBD, she went from finishing just 1/3 of her food to virtually all of it, and sometimes even went for seconds. Within 5 weeks, she had gained 555 pounds. Okay, so let's pause for a second. I'm not a marijuana expert, so please forgive me for not knowing this, but I always thought that the psychoactive ingredient, the THC in marijuana was what gave you the munchies, but I guess not. So like CBD doesn't give you the psychoactive effect and it gives you the munchies, which sounds awful, like just terrible. But some people are into that, I guess.
So yeah, sometimes people ask me, you want just the CBD? I'm like, why? Why wouldn't I also want to get high? Like they're like CBD has all these positive things. I'm like, yeah, but so does the part that gets you high. So why don't we just go ahead and do the whole thing? Which, by the way, I think also applies to the elephant. If the brother's going to gain 555 pounds, he might as well get a high out of it.
Well, okay, so look, I don't know how animals would react to the psychoactive ingredient or the psychoactive component, I should say. Like, because I mean, I know that for humans, THC can make them paranoid. It could actually have like people can have a negative reaction to it, right? So I would hate for an animal that cannot communicate what it is feeling to experience that. It would probably be pretty awful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, okay, so that leads to a couple of points. Well, one is that, as a good point, I don't know what a paranoid elephant looks like, but I probably don't want to find out.
Right.
Okay, so that'll lead me to my one serious point here, which is, guys, for so long, marijuana was a Schedule I drug, meaning it was the most dangerous drug in America.
I mean, it still is a Schedule I drug. It should be reclassified, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so I think Biden had taken some steps to begin to reschedule it or not deschedule it. Anyways, so you couldn't do any research on it. They're like, it's so dangerous, you're not even allowed to do research. No, of course you need research, of course you do. And look, the alcohol industry has been fighting the legalization of marijuana, which is, you can see in almost like so many of the stories that we do, it's like borderline miracle drug, right? But even for borderline miracle drugs, you need research. How much? How does it affect different animals? Although I am amused by people who say like, oh, can you believe it affects animals? Yeah, I can believe that because we're an animal and it affects us. Of course, it's gonna affect other animals. But you need a lot of research to figure out how much. You don't want to give too much or the wrong thing to a giant elephant or a lion, etc. So bounds of reason.
There's one other vet who was not among the early adopters of cannabis as a treatment for animals. But in 2020, her old English sheepdog, Patricio, would sometimes wake up in the night gasping for breath because of an inflammatory disorder in his nasal cavity. When other treatments failed, Dr. Lozano reached out to Dr. Castillo, who helped her obtain a personalized CBD formula for the sheepdog from a company that he advises. And so apparently it really helped. So the doctor says, you have no idea how much this helped. He could breathe again. He got 2.5 more years of life. That is amazing, man. I mean, look, this is anecdotal evidence. I want to see more studies into this. And by the way, not just for animals. I think that marijuana is something that should continue to be studied in terms of human consumption as well. You're right, Cenk, for the longest time, those types of studies were barred because of the classification of the drug, but things have loosened up a little bit, which is a good thing, especially considering the widespread use of cannabis in America. People like it, people use it. So we should be fully informed on the impact it has on our bodies and our lives.
Yeah, part of the reason why I think marijuana has been, because demagogued so much by American politicians, is remember the number one donors to politicians in America are drug companies. If you have a natural plant that is actually really cheap, that provides all of these miraculous cures for folks, the drug companies, how are they going to charge you $5,000 for a pill when you can get it for $5? So that's a relevant consideration in American politics, because this being illegal in the first place has been insane for decades on end, let alone the fact that we destroyed half of Latin America with our dumbass war on drugs, most of which was revolved around marijuana. But again, guys, do not give it to your pets thinking you know what you're doing. Let's figure out the right dosages. Don't be like, oh, I got a pit bull. Let me give it an edible and see how it turns out. No, you might not like how it turns out. Okay, let the scientists do their work first. But this is, and besides which, this is not breaking news, guys. We already knew that there were elephants that could get high. Dumbo.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.